Awesome.
Metallica, man, that's some old stuff right there.
Yeah, they I've loved them since high school. Kind of low key, but man, they're just perfect.
Fair enough.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Dodgeball Podcast. In this episode, we'll be, I guess this is part 3 now of the Dodgeball Tribune Invitational recap. And here to help me close this out is Tyler Greer. Tyler, thanks for hopping on again, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So it's Wednesday. What, 3? Oh, no, it's not. It's not Wednesday. It's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
Well, you can tell how my week's going.
I'm wondering, well, when are you releasing this?
At the time of this recording, it's Tuesday, so you've had, I guess, one full day of non-dodgeball. How are you feeling? Just start there.
Yeah, I'm feeling better today. Yeah, it was good. It was just tiring. It was a lot behind the scenes, just that's how it goes with running a tournament. So, felt good to not have to wake up early. Felt good to not, have to round up people, yell at people, the usual. But it was just nice to get a little breather. But unlike Elite or USA Dodgeball, after their very long year, I'm still ready to go. I still want more dodgeball. I still want to see more tournaments like mine. So, yeah, I'm excited. And there was a lot of positives that came out of the tournament. So definitely, there's always pros and cons to everything. But, overall, definitely a lot of positives, and excited about that. So
awesome. Well, hopefully we can get into some of that later on in this episode. But that's good. I'm glad to hear that you're not burnt out. And, yeah, it's definitely an advantage when you're not not to downplay your role at all, but when you're not, USA Dodgeball and Elite, where we've got, 3, 6, 9, 12, 13 events to run. So, but yeah, I feel like that's important. It's good to be able to see Mark play, even though the poor guy broke his finger, but it's good to be able to give them a chance to have fun and kind of not worry about having to herd the cats and all that other stuff. So I'm glad to hear that you're just as motivated sounding as you were before.
Yeah.
Definitely want that to continue. I do need to do some house cleaning real quick. I just wanted to apologize formally to Joe Fernandez. He said something about pumpkin spice lattes being really good, and I think I called him a variety of bad names and said he was weak, and I am actually sipping on one right now. They're actually really good. So I told him I'd air that. And also I need to apologize to Monique Aguilar. She knows what I did. I'm so sorry. I did not mean it, but I'll leave that one there. And then also, because we were talking about earlier how people were listening to this podcast as they're traveling to the tournament. And Tad DeLugo, man, the kid cracks me up. And this might be a segue, but he really took the unfortunate story or unfortunate connotation to heart. I guess it really hit him in the feels, but so much in fact that it fueled him to win a medal. So congrats, Tad, and we can probably go back to you when we look at the stats. But I mentally noted I was going to take care of those 3 things. But let's go back to just the event overall, and looking back, was there anything that was the most notable for you? Just maybe from an organizational standpoint. Let's start with that one.
Yeah. What was notable, at least for me, was, obviously the tournament, the overall tournament winners, they happen to be the same, a team that had won one of the divisions, but all 3 divisions were won by a different team. And so that was just, awesome to see that, to know that's kind of, we've seen a lot of parity in Elite Dodgeball, and that's not a bad thing at all, but it's just nice to sit there and be able to, one, have players play with people that they don't get to play with ever, and 2, we actually got to see 3 different winners, not only for the men, but for the women. And so that was a big thing to see. I really liked seeing that. Yeah. So, having 3 different winners, that was really nice to see. And, that was the goal of it. And it was also really cool to see a draft, to see that play out. And yeah, I'm sure there'll be some follow-up questions to this, but yeah, that's basically my notable thing, was seeing 3 different winners and just, seeing players get to play with other people that they never get to play with. So
I think that was the coolest part, was just looking at the lineups, as we reviewed them in the pre-cap. And then also for me, since I didn't necessarily have anywhere to be, I wasn't reffing, I wasn't playing on a team, I got to see a lot of that. Like, I see a lot of names with people I would normally never see ever. And that was cool. I felt like it brought just, a whole new level of dodgeball that we're just not used to, being that we're, from Elite and have our traveling teams that we stick with. So that was cool. And then one thing I wanted to note was I kind of got lost in the moment. I forgot that this was your thing. Like, it just felt like another dodgeball tournament to me. And when I say that, I say it with like another dodgeball tournament within like the past 4 years, like a good one. So
good.
It just felt seamless. Like, you could have swapped out. You could have included, USA Dodgeball banners or Elite banners, and I wouldn't have known the difference. So it looked like it was just well run, and minus some moments where people had to chase down refs. I mean, that's like, it wouldn't be a dodgeball tournament without that. So
yeah,
it was overall really awesome, and I love the food spread. Probably owe you a couple of dollars, because I definitely had my fill of broccoli and carrots, and the croissants were so good. So
it's on the house.
Awesome. I was gonna say, I might have to Venmo you a couple bucks for that, but yeah, man, let's just go ahead and actually, so we kind of talked about your opinion as an organizer. How about as a player? Were you able to kind of just take your mind out of running everything and actually enjoy playing?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, it was. I had Joe running it. It was a little not chaotic, but just difficult, because I wasn't able to secure a second speaker, and therefore we had our main gym, and then we had a court, our main court, and then we had another court, and they were separated by like 2 walls. So, basically had to be running back and forth. Someone who I am in debt to, she's amazing, played and was a captain, Ashley Cook. She just really stepped up, helped out, basically ran women's, and just kept them moving along. That's the biggest thing. You kind of, as an organizer, you're a herder. And so she did that. So that was huge. And that's kind of organizationally. But as a player, that allowed me to be able to play, allowed me to be able to just, let the people I put in charge do what they need to do. And it was nice to do that. So, yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because as I'm replaying everything in my mind, Ashley was everywhere. Like, if she wasn't on the court, she was like running things, or like I was just like, I looked at her as if she was a part of the staff, and I had no idea. It's like, oh, I guess maybe he worked out some kind of deal, or he asked some people to volunteer and step up. And if that
she stepped up, and it was amazing. I needed that, and I didn't know I needed that. So that was a big thing. And I ended up, compensating her out of my own pocket after the tournament, because I'm like, dude, women's would have fell behind for sure had you not stepped up. So that was huge. And then she just, took care of little things that needed to be taken care of. I mean, gosh, talk about the selflessness of women, of Ashley, of her being able to push other women. Like, even at the end of the tournament, she was sitting there helping me with the balls, helping me get the air out of the balls, like just little things like that, where it's just like, you're making my life so much easier. And I didn't think about all this stuff until the end.
It's after the fact.
So it was just really nice, so.
Yeah. I mean, I saw a lot of people helping out, especially towards the end with cleanup. Lucas stayed till the very end, was just helping out. And
yeah, Vince Marchbanks, I love those guys. Those guys deserve huge shout outs. Vince and Lucas, Joe, of course, were just huge in helping me out. Lizzie Hodare stayed all the way till the end. She was just helping me pick up trash, stuff like that. They are the unsung heroes. Really helped my life a lot easier. Even Mark Acom. Sad story about Mark. I ended up breaking his finger.
Oh man, the irony.
On a nesting on a nesting throw.
Oh man.
At the beginning of round robin for no sting. So only, basically what is that? 1/6 of the way through the tournament.
Yeah. Broke
his finger. Dang. He actually played the whole rest of the day still, but he did not end up playing Sunday because that sucked.
He had to wisen up,
but he was there to help me out too. Definitely helped me out in the morning and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's so ironic. Poor Mark. I mean, I know he started off this whole thing like, oh, I'm gonna burn that tournament down, and it was all friendly, crap talking, and then go figure. Poor guy finally gets a chance to go ham and just be out of the the organizer mindset, and he breaks his finger. But I talked to him about it, and I wasn't like in like an antagonizing way, but I was like, hey man, that sucks. Like you finally get your moment, and then you have a broken finger, and he's like, yeah, well, that's how it goes. And he just like had the greatest attitude about it. So lots of, I think there's talk about potentially doing like the Grand Canyon State Games down here in Arizona. So maybe that could be where he gets his fill. He can try to burn us down, but I also, going back to the organization and how seamless it felt from my perspective. I mean, awesome job, Joseph Coella, if you're listening, man. Like, and he showed me his software that he was using, his scheduler, and he just started talking about it, and I just busted out the recorder. I was like, this probably has no place in the actual event interviews, but this is incredible. So I incorporated that into the previous episode, and he was just showing me just the future of how dodgeball is going to be run. I don't want to speak for anybody other than myself, though, but were you able to like look at that before the tournament? Have you had test runs before, or did you know that was in the works? I feel like that was huge.
I knew he had software that he was going to be using, some tools that just have been better tools, better way of just making it easier on the tournament organizer. And so, I got to see that. It was really nice. I mean, basically he's using an Excel file, but he's done all the work on putting in all the different formulas and the different algorithms that just allow it to go seamless. And, so for example, all he had to do basically on the bracket day was put in the scores from, let's say we've got a double elimination bracket. So he's, we're in the winner's bracket. We're just starting off, puts the scores in 2-1, whatever. And automatically, without him even typing in anything or doing whatever, whoever got the 1 instead of the 2, or the 0, got brought down to the loser's bracket. So it was just like, it was seamless, and it had it all set up. Like a lot of times in the past where elite, even if you look back at old elite photos of the bracket, it'll be like color coded and different stuff like that, because you had to do that because you didn't want to mess up putting a loser where they shouldn't have gone,
right.
Just for seeding purposes. So it was just really cool. He had that all set up. It was really great. And it allowed him to just be way more efficient.
One thing that he mentioned that was really cool, and I think even just listening to previous recaps, was that this function that that allows you to create the seeds and the bracketing, you can do it like on the spot. So when you have 10, 12 people, mobbing you, waiting for, the results, or second guessing your calculating skills or whatever it is, you don't have to worry about that anymore. You just push a button and it's done.
Yeah.
It was really cool. I got really excited for it, and what I really, really got excited for was it had like stats. Like it had like win percentages. It had it was able to not predict, but I could see like, oh, the last time Team Boyle played against Team Fullerton, it was 1, and this is the percentage of what it looked like. And it was just like, wow, I could maybe gamble based on these. But it was neat. And I just feel like if you put that into the hands of with the commentators, it would sound like an NFL type of game where, last time the Giants played the Cowboys on this time at this date, here's where the stats, like they always pull like these random like stats that really don't mean much, but they just kind of add to the fun of the game. I think like that's what we're going to see with Dodgeball if this platform keeps being used. And I was like, oh yeah, it just felt like you had more tricks up your sleeve. Like you bust out with this format. Actually showed up with the tournament last year, bust out with this format, and now we have this really cool application that might be utilized now. And it was just neat. Just made the entire thing just that much cooler. So
thanks.
Whatever work you put into that, Joe, that was awesome, and I look forward to seeing more of it. Let's go back though. Speaking of like formats and whatnot, like, so I meant to ask this in the pre-cap. How were the players determined? Like I know you talked about like months ago this was kind of set, but like how did you choose like the pool of players? Was there a format or criteria or?
Yeah. So initially, I went off of the top 20 of each region that were ranked in the Tribune rankings. So
for players or captains?
For players.
Okay.
For players. So the top 20 for players. For the captains, I just went basically when we got the top 20 in each region, and then I finally went with the top 50 overall. The top 50 overall is where I went with the captains. I tried to get, almost in order, so to speak. Certain people didn't really didn't feel comfortable. I mean, Mike McGee, I think he was ninth overall, a year ago. Now he's probably top two. But he was ninth then, and still only 19 years old, still just kind of picking up the game, still learning the game. I mean, he's very solid player, but as far as a captain goes, maybe not the best choice, or maybe just doesn't know everyone. So we didn't go with him, but or he actually turned me down. So, but yeah, I went through that order. So like I said, we'd gotten Pyan. At that time, we had Nate Kreider, Tim Fullerton, Vince Marchbanks, going down the list, and also choosing, people from regions. So I had Eric Stone from the North, Kevin Bailey from the North. I had Billy Schmidt, and at that time I had Matt Giovinco from the East. And then I was also getting Anthony Miller, and Vaughn Kelly was kind of in the waiting to see if he would be a captain or not, which he ended up being. So I wanted all the regions represented, and I wanted, just the top players. And then I decided to go with a reverse order of that ranking. I felt like that made it fair, especially with Mike McGee. At that time, was probably the number one player in the country, not a captain, because I'd catch him then. And I just felt, I was like, we could do it random, but that's not going to be, fair if someone who is ranked 30 or 25 doesn't get the first pick. Right. All of a sudden you got Justin Pine, the number one player, getting another number one player first pick because it was randomized. So that was not fair. There's no hurting egos in that. It's just like, it's no shame to not be ranked ahead of Justin Pine. I mean, he's a phenomenal player. So it just made sense to do a snake and to start in reverse order. So that's how we went. As for the players after the top 80, so the top 80, I gave them a while to decide if they could do it. They had to also, somewhere down the line, they had to actually give me money, in addition, way in advance, stuff like that. And if they couldn't do it, then I was like, your spot's gone. And so part of the selling of my part on getting the captains was to sit there and be like, you get a say as soon as my pool of these 80 players is gone. Same thing with the women. As soon as this pool is gone, then you get to decide who gets invited. And so that was a big selling point for me and for them was, if you're going to be drafting these players, like you want to sit there and be able to have a say in, who gets invited and who doesn't. So that was how they were picked. After that top 80, I had no say in it. It was really captains deciding, telling me. We would spitball. I would throw out names and they would reject it, whatever, So that was kind of like I did get a little chance to put an input in, and I could sit there and say, I really think this person should be in. And I did do that a couple times. And sometimes I would get rejected, and sometimes they'd be like, yeah, this person, all right, fine. All right. And then that's how we got our player pool. So
that's awesome. That's actually really cool because that hopefully, let me back up. Did anybody that was snubbed go to you and be like, hey man, why wasn't I invited to this?
Yeah.
Not saying you had to like name names. Okay. I didn't want to assume, but I was pretty sure. But the people
there was people not happy about being invited, not being invited. There was people that were salty that didn't initially get invited and then did get invited and then turned it down because they were salty. It was like, I'm sorry, like this is there's only 12 teams, there's only 72 spots. Like I made this tournament with only 72 spots, and yet I invited 80, the top 80. So if every single person of the top 80 had said yes, I would have been in trouble. I'd been like,
like I gotta cut 8 people.
I'd have to add another captain or figure something out. But I knew that not all 80 would be able to make it. So,
well, for those that feel slighted or snubbed, like at least maybe hearing you say that this was not just you, on a high horse saying you're in, you're out, you're not worthy, you're worthy. It was other captains' input as well, and I like that. It's kind of cool that you let the people that were going to be essentially playing in the tournament determine who.
And that's the important thing. I mean, really, this tournament is put on. I mean, it's put on by me, but it does not happen without the captains. You have to have the captain buy-in. And really, to me, when you run a tournament like this, a draft tournament, like those 12 captains of guys and those 8 women that were captains, like not to say no one else is. Not to say other people are less important, but they're my most important people. I have to make sure that they're happy first.
Yeah.
And then, it trickles down.
Well, it's like you said, it doesn't happen without them. So that makes total sense.
Without the captains. So, and especially because if it's an invite only and it's $100 to play, you want to know that the captain that's choosing me is a good player, is a solid player, is a top player in the country. And if they're not, then it's like, well, why would I really want to do this tournament then?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
If I don't get a chance to play with someone like Justin Pine or someone like Billy Schmidt or, someone like even like Vaughn Kelly, like, then why would I want to do this tournament? I don't want to do this tournament. Don't invite me, But I did have these amazing players. And so, I got to feed off that. So.
Well, speaking of amazing players, let's go ahead and go into my typical question now of who stood out the most. And the coolest thing is I have stats to kind of help us do that. So instead of drawing from memory and saying, oh yeah, that person did cool stuff, let's actually just take a look. And we'll start with women's. So top throwers, not
top
surprised.
Throwers in foam, yeah.
Ashley Cook, 39 kills.
Ashley Cook, yeah.
Actually, real quick, before we get into this, speaking of unsung heroes, whoever took stats, thank you so much, just to give us this opportunity to look at this stuff and
so I had part of the deal, and this was the tough thing, was especially for the men, it was really tough. But for the women, they had 2 courts, they had 4 teams playing, so they had 4 teams off, and I needed 2 teams. 2 teams were put on each court, and they were to provide refs and statisticians, basically, and shaggers. So, when they were off, especially for the guys, we had 4 teams off, and then we had 4 courts. So every single court, there was 1 team too, and they had to provide 2 refs and 2 stats and shaggers. So there really was like very little resting, and I know that's something that was definitely difficult for the guys. Some of them wanted to rest, some of them didn't want to do the job.
Anything at all.
So that made it tough, but at the end of the day, people, for the most part, took good stats, did all the stats for the most part, especially for Saturday. Saturday was definitely a way better focus on getting the stats in and stepping up. Sunday is another story, kind of, but for now, let's look at Saturday's stats.
Yeah, and
that's better.
The people that I saw took it really seriously too. Like when a game was started, they were frantically looking for clipboards or who's going to take what, and immediately asking who got that hit, who got that hit, who got that catch, and so much. In fact, I can't think of his name right now, but I think he plays on Tuda. He asked for my pen, and I started to get not salty, but like combative with him because I love my pen and I needed it. But then I realized, oh, this poor kid needs it for stats. I need to sacrifice it to the greater good. But that was what I like to see. I was like, oh man, this kid like is seriously taking his job seriously. So I need to back off and let him do his job. But it was great watching that hustle. But yeah, so go back into foam. Ashley Cook, 39 kills, followed by Tanya Kaiser.
I mean, Ashley. I mean, I think I could be wrong, but I think they started with foam. I mean, they're both Minnesota natives. Although Ashley's moved out here now, but
yeah, Ashley's so confusing. She's like East Coast, but not really. She's actually truly North, but just kidding. Yeah. She moved to the West now.
Yeah, but I mean, they started on foam. That's not surprising at all. Tanya has a great arm. You know, Ashley has a great arm, so not surprising. Azalia was third with 28. This is just round robin, just for foam. So. And the other thing is you're going to see more kills in foam because it was timed. It wasn't best out of something, so that's very important to note because you're sitting there playing as many games as you can within a certain time period. Whereas no sting and 8.5, you're playing best out of 3. The most kills you can get is, 12 kills, in a 2-game set. Or 6 kills, whatever. And for the most part, at least for the men, we only played 8 matches in each division. For the women, we ended up doing a full round robin of foam, and we ended up doing a full round robin of no sting, and then we cut into the rest got cut into the 8.5 because women don't like 8.5 as much. There's some, but majority do not. And that was one thing. I mean, again, you talk about a tournament where you're not doing it on the fly. You have an idea. You have actually a game plan. And the fact is, when you have players, when this is their tournament, as a tournament organizer, you sit there and say, yeah, you want to make a change? I can make that change. Let's do it right now. So, for example, when we got to 12 o'clock for lunchtime, day one, the women had not finished their round robin in foam, and talked to a couple people, talked to Ashley and a couple other people, and it's like they really wanted to finish foam. And I was like, and they're like, and they even requested it. Can we finish foam? And that way, we can eat into a little bit 8.5. And I'm like, absolutely. This is the tournament for you, So that is so important as an organizer, and because I've seen it in so many years. I mean, I started playing in 2011. I've seen it where it's like you have to care about the players, and you have to take every advice, every request into consideration. And if you can do it right then and there, freaking do it right then and there. Don't wait. Don't sit there, oh, well, next tournament, it's like, no, I have the power to do it right now. I'm so tired of tournament organizers being like, well, next time, it's like, no, you have the power, do it right now. Make the players happy. And so I had the opportunity, I did. Anyways, sorry, that's me going on a rant. But.
No, totally fine. And you kind of mentioned that in the recap back in February, where you're running this independently of this is not an elite thing, not an elite deal. Or you say Dodgeball 1, you can make those calls yourself on the fly as you see fit, and you can try out new things or things that aren't necessarily being followed or attempted in previous events. And I mean, if that is the will of the people, and you're able to allow that without sacrificing the quality of it, then awesome. And that's part of what makes being, I guess, independent really good. I remember one time, like, you had some kind of rule set, and Santi was like, oh, that's not the way NDO does it. And you're like, I'm not the NDO. So that's kind of cool. But cool. I mean, and then I know some people were like, they just wanted to just play on through without the break and whatnot. But let's go right to where you veered off. We kind of didn't talk about the catchers for foam. So Lizzie Hodor, I don't know why I can't say that name. I keep wanting to say Hodor. I'm so sorry. Game of Thrones has ruined me.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones. Hodor. Hold the door.
Oh, man. Yeah. I just got sad now. I'm not doing this podcast anymore. I'm going to go.
Hey, Game of Thrones just released that the season's going to start in April. How exciting is that?
I believe it when this is March 31st.
Man, I know.
But yeah, so speaking of Lizzie, I've been seeing her name pop up a lot, and I honestly, I wouldn't be sure like what she's known for other than being from the Pacific Northwest. So
yeah, I mean, she played with for men, for co-ed, she played with Fortune, and great, 8.5. I mean, I think that's where her bread and butter is 8.5. She loves 8.5, so she's a huge 8.5 lover. But she played with Witness for women, and just a solid player, just continually getting notoriety, and
tied for top in catches,
tied
right
for
next
top
to
in catches with 6 with Katie Sanchez.
I mean, Katie Sanchez is definitely not known for catching anything, so that's an anomaly right there. But Kathy Martinez, that's awesome.
Yeah, Kathy Martinez from the South, one of the top women players in the South.
And this is foam. Like, foam's not the easiest thing in the world to catch.
Yeah.
So I'm told.
Yeah.
Landon Meeks. Yeah, so it's like you got 3 tied for 6, and then Beverly Rios. Are you thinking Bev Rivas?
I think, yeah, Rivas.
Yeah. Just making up people.
Whoops.
That's all good. There's some typos here that are, I'll get to one later. But yeah, the rest are all, I don't want to say tied for last. It sounds bad, but there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tied for third.
Oh, that's what. Okay, sorry.
Who's that? MJ Rios?
I just changed it.
Oh, you're just in there.
You like that?
Oh, Google Docs. Yeah, it was.
There you go.
It was
MJ
obvious.
Rios.
It was obvious.
Bev Rivas.
Yep. But I was gonna say, like, so being tied with Brianna London, Karina, Elena Meeks, like that's not bad. And then I'm kind of surprised to see Angelique tied for third. I was expecting to be top catcher and everything. So
yeah, I mean, and that's you do have to think about how the teams were formed, and that's the biggest thing. And we'll probably go into things that'll change or things that are just tough. And you get when you invite, for the women, it's 48 women that are some of the top, majority of them top players in the country, but definitely, top 50, arguably in the best in the country. And you sit there and you put them all on a team, or 6 and 6, get 8 teams of 6. You're going to have players that are not normally in their positions, So, for example, maybe someone like, Angelique Grospe, instead of her, where she gets to kind of play maybe the number 2 position or the number 5 position without a ball, because Joanna on the left has the ball corner, Relina on the right has a corner, and then Katie Sanchez has the ball in the middle. That leaves Angelique without a ball, so she's prime target to be a huge catcher. And so you're like, well, I'm not. Either one, I'm not going to throw at her, or 2, I'm going to throw at her and get caught because she doesn't have a ball to stop it.
Yep.
So you start to see different things like that. I mean, I still think you see the overall best players come out and the best players perform regardless of what positions they're put in or stuff like that. But when you start taking away balls or, from people who normally have a ball, or you start putting balls in people's hands who normally don't have it, you're going to see a little bit different of stats and stuff like that. And that kind of at least was the case for foam. But foam, again, foam is a really hard ball to catch. You sit there and you put a lot of different spins, stuff like that. I know that, down the board, you look at all the top catchers in the country, a lot of them were here, and you look at their foam numbers as far as catching goes compared to no sting and 8.5, and it's drastically lower than everything else. I mean, Leak only had 3 catches in foam, but then you go over and look at no sting, and she's the top catcher with 8 catches, and the next person only has 5. So it's just like, duh,
Exactly.
She's there, and she's a great catcher, but those foam balls and you can just put some weird spin, weird move, and it just adds a whole new dimension to that ball, which it makes it really fun. That's why I love foam, but especially if you're a thrower. So
yeah, no, I mean, I feel like it makes you dodge more, or at least it should, just because catching's not always going to be there.
I mean, you look at Team Malaysia. I mean, why have they won gold the last 2 years in a row? Because
they can move.
They are the best dodgers in all of dodgeball, and they prove it. They've now proved it 2 years in a row that they don't need to catch a ball to beat you.
Yeah. David Tate's dissected that pretty well in one of his
recaps.
Yeah, one of his recaps, he was saying, overwhelming firepower from the U.S. wasn't enough. It doesn't do you any good if you can't hit the dang targets. So that says a lot about going back to the actual roots of dodgeball, and that's dodging. So I guess foam is good for that. On top throwers or for no sting, Lauren Hoffman.
No 22. Surprise there.
Really?
No surprise that, yeah, she's been one of the best no sting throwers. Kiki Cardona, again, no surprise there. Kiki had 20, Lauren had 22. Yeah, both of those girls, solid arms, some of the best arms in the country, and very good at no sting.
And then you got Casey Reed from
Casey Reed, huge. She was from Love Tap, but she played for Emily Hotz's team, Team Hotz. She had 18 kills. She was killing it. She's a big up-and-comer. She's been up-and-coming for a while now. Again, she's part of I've highlighted her multiple times in articles where she's just been a huge player for Love Tap, and she'll be for whatever team she's on next. So
yeah, Casey Reed. I don't know why I confused her with somebody else on the East Coast, so I take that back.
Yeah, no, she's a West Coast girl.
Yeah. Becca Slivka.
Slivka.
Oh, apparently we already butchered like 20 names in the precap, so I guess we're on our way.
I was like, sorry, I apologize.
Yeah, but it's really cool seeing her. I've known about her since like 2010. When she played with Rock and Rollers in Tucson. She's like built like Jackie, almost as ferocious as Jackie, if not a little
Very
bit more.
Ferocious.
Yeah, and it's just cool seeing. I don't want to say an older player, but an older player still out there.
The cool thing about Becca was, this tournament is a perfect example of someone who, she had in the foam, she had 23 kills, which was, what is that, sixth best, tied for sixth best. And this one, she had 17 kills, which is tied for fourth best, and no sting for, in round robin. And someone like her gets kind of forgotten about on a team like Invasion, which is what she plays on. And because Invasion has so many throwers, the Relina Thomason, Katie Sanchez, Kate Gong, Joanna Munoz, so, she kind of gets forgotten about. And then you put her in a tournament like this, and all of a sudden, boom, she's like, no, I'm here. I take a backseat to some players who might have a better throw or just a harder throw, but I can still swing it just like the rest of them, so
yeah,
perfect example.
That's what I was getting at. And then Rachel Rodia, speaking of slingers, 16.
Yeah, 16 kills.
I wonder what the circumstances are that, because she can freaking throw.
Yeah.
Again, I hope this doesn't come off the wrong way, but Karina Amezcua, is that how you say your last name?
Yeah, Amezcua. On her, I think her Facebook tag is Arias. But
that's why I always get tripped up. But yeah, 14 kills. Like, again, I don't want to take away from Kiki or Lauren, but I would have expected them to be a little bit higher just because of how hard they throw and watching them throw. And I wonder if it's kind of what you said earlier, like they're not necessarily in their element. They're playing potentially a different position,
you
different
could see
rhythm.
That some players just, I don't know, just either decide to take a step back. I know I saw it in the men's where you saw some players who are normally big time throwers get to throw a lot, and then for whatever reasons they either decided to take a step back or were kind of told to take a step back or just let other people play, and for whatever reasons their numbers were lower. So I don't know what to say about it other than there's got to be possibly some reason to it. So
yeah, different dynamics altogether. Now going to the division that matters, 8.5. Tiffany Paget at 12, tied with Rebecca. Not surprised to see Rebecca there.
Something to add here too is you'll notice the numbers are really low. Now the reason why the numbers are low on this one was because what did I say about foam and no sting? Was we finished the entire round robin for both foam and no sting,
right?
Which made us have a lot less time for 8.5 for the women. And what I had them do was they ended up playing every team. So there's, 7 matches. I think they ended up playing a couple more after that, but they only did best of one. And so they only they played every single 17. They played all 7 teams, every, other 7 teams, but they only played them in one game. So that's why their numbers are a little low. So
did you take any flack for that?
For the most part, no. At least those that were not happy about it bit their tongue, so that was good. But I think, the overall, when I announced it at lunch, I was like, let me just let you know the plan to all the women that were in the stage area. I was like, let me just tell you the plan. Like, the plan is we're going to finish foam round robin. We're going to eat into, we're going to finish no sting round robin. And then, we'll eat into whatever, and we'll play however much we can up until 6 p.m. for 8.5. And I got a ton of claps, like the women were happy. And I was like, yeah, it'd be, it was requested. So if it's requested and I made it go through, yeah, I know there's going to be some girls that weren't, there's definitely some people that were not happy. I'm sure Tiffany Paget, Rebecca Chappell, who led, those girls are 8.5 girls. They love the 8.5. So I'm sure they weren't too happy about that, but at the end of the day, it's like, majority of the women were happy.
Yeah.
And, I think that's what matters, is going with the majority. So,
yeah, I mean, if you're looking at time constraints and trying to jam pack 3 divisions, it does suck, especially if you've come from places like the North and then Northwest to come play rubber. I can definitely see why you'd be upset, and I definitely agree with them. But at the same time, you got to keep, as you said, the majority happy as best you can.
Yeah.
So,
and you still, we still got to play every single team, so that was the nice thing. You got to see every team in 8.5, even though it was only one game itself. So you make concessions where you can, and hopefully it gets received as best as it can get received. So
definitely. Let's see who else.
Top catcher there, Crystal Briones, 8 catches.
The best.
Stud.
Kirsten Bell, Kirsten,
Bell.
not always known for catching rubber, but that's awesome seeing that's changing.
Yeah. Nina Fiora, she was top catcher in both 8.5 and foam, I think. So
Katie Sanchez,
always a solid catcher.
Katie Sanchez only had 3.
Yeah, again, like Katie Sanchez, a lower catch number.
Not what you're used to.
Not what you're used to, but sometimes you just, if she has a ball in her hand, she's not going to catch as much. She's not going to get thrown out as much.
Well, she's hitting people with that ball at least. So
yeah.
Kind of same. I have same comments with Nina Fiore as I do with Becca. It's awesome seeing, especially because I got to talk to her a little bit at Bell's, and again during the in-event interviews. I think of a better name for that. But she's coming off of an injury, so it's good to see that she's not only on a path to recovery, but she's also relevant and still racking up points and just kicking butt. So. Samantha Girardi, who's that? That was one of the ones, one of the typos I wanted to give you a hard time about.
Darn it, you just pulled it up my bad.
Sorry, man.
I misspells. I was doing this. I had to do this at the end of the night. Saturday night. I was up till midnight.
Oh man.
I had sheets of all the stats, and then I just put them in and did the best I could. And
yeah, to hand jam all these names and numbers. That's
lost sleep. Just so. Samantha Girardi, she's a solid girl, East Coast player, plays with, at least last year, played with Precision. I assume she's still with Precision, but she might not be. But
I'm pretty sure she is. Like 98% sure, just because I always second guess myself.
Solid girl.
That's one thing that's really cool, and I'm sure we'll probably cover it too when we get into men's. Is just I got to see what other regions brought to the game, what they bring to the table, and it's really awesome seeing that, because the only other time I've ever done so is at nationals, if I played against them, or if I happen to be reffing or catching a game, when I'm not playing. So being able to watch all these names that I've heard about over the past year actually play has been really exciting. So thank you for that. I feel like you just offered that to me, so I appreciate it. Let's go into men's. So back to men's. So men's foam, Dylan Clark Odin with 37 kills. I'm not surprised.
Not surprised.
Not at all. Not even a little bit.
Two-time USA foam player.
Wonder why.
Ridiculous. He ended up, as we'll see, or maybe should I let the cat out of the bag or not yet?
No, I kind of talked about that. And
cool.
Yeah.
So,
not yet.
I mean, just killed it in foam. Then you had Mike McGee, 32, Justin Pine, 32. I mean, Team USA right there.
Well, look at this though. Like Mike McGee is 5 difference from Dylan, but then 1 away from Pine, who's 1 away from Matt Levine.
Matt Levine. I mean, that's the big one because you don't get to see Matt Levine. You've never seen him play foam.
I've never seen him play. Period. I've heard a lot of good things about him.
He was a big reason why Space Cadets finished 4th in Open for Nationals this year. He was on that team.
I think Space Cadets is the reason why Space Cadets finished 4th. They had some magic, but I heard a lot about Matt Levine.
Yeah, Matt Levine pulled his weight for sure.
Yeah,
he's just a really solid player, and I didn't know he could play foam, and he has a phenomenal arm. He's very accurate. Knows what he's doing with foam. It looks like he looks like a natural with foam. So he might be a former future Team USA player.
Former future.
Seriously.
Current
Sorry,
future.
Not former. Yeah. Future Team USA player.
You've seen the future and you're already giving us some prophecies there. No, I would be hard pressed. Like within the next 5 years, if he's not on Team USA, it's probably because he stopped playing or stopped carrying.
Yeah.
That guy was on fire and just throwing freaking heat, whether it was foam or no sting. That guy's kind of scary. But I was just saying, like Dylan had a commanding 5-point differential. Is that what you call it?
Kill.
Yeah, between second best. So he really made a statement there. Even though he hates foam, like I don't even know why he still plays. He always badmouths it. But who else caught me by surprise? I got to see John Harper play, and that's somebody that I've known about for a while from Outlaws. I got to play with him in No Sting for Nationals in New Orleans, but I didn't really get to see much else.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Super accurate.
Yeah, and I think the reason why he stood out is because he was when I thought of like the South, I thought about Anthony Miller, and then this Jonathan Harper guy, and there was just like 2 or 3 players that really stood up before I got to know the outsiders, and so he's always been one of those guys in the back of my mind that I've wanted to see play, and so I got an opportunity to do so, and that guy is pretty dang good. It's cool seeing David O'Brien play, only because I've only seen him play 8.5 with me on grit. What about you? Any comments on top throwers for foam?
Yeah, Lucas Boyle had 23 kills from foam. He was the coach for Team USA, and you also saw him in. If you saw Sunday, he was just lighting people up with foam ball, with the no sting ball, just really showing off his versatility. I mean, you always think of Lucas as a 8.5 player, but man, he showed that he can play every ball style. He's an amazing player, amazing athlete. So
yeah,
he deserves
just an amazing guy all around. He's one of those guys that's just a great dude. Top catchers for foam: Justin Pine, Ryan Haley.
Ryan Haley, yeah, I mean Ryan Haley, he's very versatile. One could argue he's the best catcher in dodgeball right now, as far as just the amount that he's getting on a daily basis. So
yeah, not to take away from Pine, but I mean, what else is new Pine?
Yeah,
no offense, man.
Yeah,
Brian Himmel, who's that? Heimel?
He's from Corruption. He's a North Region player in Corruption.
Okay.
Yeah, and he showed off. He can catch these balls. Kind of a big guy and has big hands. So yeah, he was making some good catches. So,
Jim McMasters, man.
Jim.
I know we're not looking at finals, but I in case I don't get a chance. So this has happened twice now, where we'll be talking in passing, and he's complained to me about how he's not got a single catch yet. And I just be like, well, it'll come, man. Don't worry about it. And this first time was in Nationals, and he ended up catching like a fiend. And so when it happened again, this past weekend, same thing. Like he's like, "Hey Steve, I haven't had a single catch yet, man." I was like, don't worry, this is just like last time. You're gonna vent to me, and then after this, you're gonna catch, a couple. No, he caught like everything, and he had some incredibly crucial catches that turned the tide for his team. So it's good to see that he wasn't really that bad in round robin, because I from what I saw, the catching didn't really start to happen until finals. So it's crazy seeing him do that, especially the foam. Like those just are not easy to catch.
Hard to catch.
Mike Hashimoto, I'm glad that they're still relevant as well. It's fun watching him play finally. Same thing with Eli, even though Eli wasn't. I don't think he was on here, but saw a couple of cool plays from Eric Jones. He had like this one match where he like caught a ball and then almost in like the same motion got the other guy out and just closed the game out in like 2 seconds. It was pretty awesome. And I asked him like, "Hey, was that like your whole day?" He's like, "No, I don't know where that came from, but I mean the stats are there. He obviously did really well."
Yeah.
Oh really? No sting, top throwers, Tyler.
Yeah, it's my game. I love it.
All right, I'll say.
I love no sting. There's no secret. I love it. And playing with Tim Fullerton the last 2 years, he knows that it's my top game. Knows how to utilize me very well. Knows how to protect me very well. So it really allows me to just kind of go up and sling it. And for the most part, I'm really accurate. Can throw hard. Put a nasty little curve on it. To me, I'm just like, this is where I should be. But it also helps to be on that type of team. Same thing with Dylan. You look at Dylan. Dylan's tied with me for 28, and Dylan, had 37 kills in foam. Part of that has to do with who are you playing with.
Oh yeah.
Dylan's sitting there playing on Vince Marchbanks. He's got Vince on the right corner. It's just I got Tim on the right corner. So it's just when you're playing with solid corners who protect you. Who give you that freedom to kind of, put the fear in the other team, saying, "Hey, if you're going to counter me, guess what? You're going to get countered and you're going to get out." And it's a big risk.
Yeah, you're going to have like Tim or potentially
Tim or
Allen
Vince
or Vance running you down. Anyone. You don't want that.
Mike McGee, same thing. So yeah, when you have someone like that, it just gives you so much freedom to just go and hit people. And as you can see, me and Dylan, we're the top throwers in no sting at 28. So
really cool seeing Keem win from Outsiders. Got to again. I talked to that whole team for like 2 hours on one of the episodes, and it's just cool seeing them actually in person. Same thing with Von Kelly, like just watching them actually maneuver and then dominate was especially cool. And then another shout out to David for 24 kills. So.
Yeah, I mean, he's a solid arm, very solid arm, lefty. I think for him, definitely benefited just not being as familiar. Played with a lot of people outside of the West region. They don't know him, and us West Coast people for the most part know him and know he's got a filthy throw. And most of the time, it's just like a lefty no look. You don't even expect it.
It's really weird.
Comes right at you, pretty accurate, really hard, and yeah. So not surprising.
Well, hopefully he can stay in the shadows a little bit longer, but if he's out, then, well, there you go. He's hard to he's one that you don't want to take your eyes off of. Kyle Sander. So Matt Levine, right? Is it?
Yep.
And then Kyle Sander. Those were the two that I was really excited to watch as well. And just
did
top
not
throwers,
disappoint.
no sting. Yeah, that's
Yeah, you won't see Kyle Sander on the foam. He's still learning foam. He admits it himself. He's got a lot to learn in that ball type, but he's definitely a top thrower, no sting. He's getting to be a top thrower in 8.5, and then he's going to be working on his foam game. So
yeah, and then coming off the trampolines to do this, that's incredible.
Yeah, solid player.
Let's see who else. Actually,
and really, Kyle Sanders, someone nobody heard about before UDC. I did a article power ranking type thing for all the UDC teams, and I talked to DeMonte Cleveland, who was the captain of MetaHumans, and I was like, dude, give me a name besides yourself, because I don't know anyone on MetaHumans who's a Ohio team. was like, give me a name someone to look out for. And he's like, dude, Kyle Sander. And that was the first time. And so I got to mention him in my article, and then he did not disappoint. He was, pretty much the talk of the town, so to speak. Him and Tyrell Hayes really put on a show at UDC. And then we got to see Kyle Sander at Nationals and just, again, put on another show for GOAT. I think he ended up leading. They had kind of mixed results for the stats, but of the stats that were taken, Kyle Sander was the top thrower in no sting, and it's no surprise. He's got a filthy arm. He's extremely young and extremely talented. So
probably be hearing a lot more from him, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to kind of scroll down towards the bottom, even though 20 kills is still pretty dang impressive with Chris Willer and Sean Willer. Dumb question, but are they brothers?
Oh yeah, they're brothers.
Just want to make sure.
They're both former Brick Squad players. So
nice.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. Get that sibling rivalry going on, maybe. And then
yeah, for sure.
Going to catchers, Ryan Haley, 9 catches.
Ryan Haley top. Yeah, you'll see him at the top for the most part. You don't really see him in the 8.5, and that's kind of interesting that I don't see that, but that's because especially at 8.5, he's just known for almost double catches and all that type of stuff, but solid catcher.
Definitely. So going into 8.5, top throwers, Tim Fullerton.
Yeah. I mean, yep, we got the fourth seed for 8.5. That was the first division of the day. And that was, kind of where we just all, started to get into a groove. Some of us hadn't played since Nationals on our team. I think that was the case with a lot of players. So, that's where you see Tim just really take on the role. Like, well, and when you guys get warm, then you can throw a little bit more, so to speak. And
yep.
Tim took it to people, and so it was good.
Well, so did Vince Marchbanks and Brody Johnson. I mean, they all tied with 26, so that's no surprise. And then Pine off by 1 with 25. And then Sean Wheeler at 24, Vaughn Kelly, Dylan Fetting. I didn't get a chance to watch him too much, unfortunately. I'd wanted to. It was overload, man. It was really hard going back and forth because I'd go interview some people and I'd just get stuck where I was at watching. And that's expected. One guy can't watch every single thing that happens, but there's a lot of I'll say eye candy because it's not the right context. There's a lot of stuff to watch, a lot of good people to watch. So I was definitely not left wanting for excitement. But Tad DeLugo, look at that, 19. So I guess maybe talking crap about him, whether it's intentional or not, really fuels that guy. So we'll have to reverse hype him up as we get closer to elite season next year. Top catchers, Jim McMasters. Okay, I guess maybe I don't know what his off day of catching might seem like, but it seems like he had no problem on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then
you look at that. So Ryan Haley played on Team Giovinco. You've got Ryan Heimel who played on Giovinco. He had 7. Then you have Jeff Giovinco who had 6, and then you have Brody Johnson who played on Giovinco, and he had 5. So you had so many ridiculous catchers on Team Giovinco. Ridiculous.
Off the bat, and the first game I finally got to go to, I watched Brett Cobble catch 2 or 3 balls almost in succession.
Oh, yeah. He got us good.
Yeah, he was he's cobbling you guys up. I'm gonna just keep pushing that until it becomes a thing. But is that new? Sorry, Brett.
Is that new? Him catching?
Yeah.
No, that's not new at all. No, he catches so many things, especially if you chest him, which I did.
Just a no-go area. Oh, okay, I saw I think. Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, but at least he showed me the red mark after. I was like, good.
Good, it hurt. Yeah, he looked really good.
He's a great catcher. He's been catching for years. So
yeah, he looked really good. And then right behind him, Brandon Cook, who actually, no offense, Brandon, but I was expecting to see him leading some of these throws because Jesus, that guy throws hard. Yeah,
I think it was the case of just he was playing on Team Morris. I think it was a case of just, one, filling things out, but two, there's, plenty of guys. He was playing with Xander Simos, who got a lot of throws. Who else? Dylan Fedig, I think, was on that team. Was he? No. Yeah, he was. Okay, good. So, just playing with a lot of players who get to throw more. They definitely, as we saw on Sunday, utilized him way more, utilized his arm way more. And
Gotcha.
That's the reason why they ended up going all the way to the championship. So
okay, I was gonna say, I thought, I would have expected more kills on him, but again, we're looking at round robin. So, who is Kelvin Koster?
Kelvin Koster, he plays for Kraken in the North.
Okay.
And he's just a really solid player, very versatile. He's good with all three balls. So yeah, he was playing with Team Spacer, and
gotcha. And he got
just a very versatile
6
player.
Catches. Very cool. Yeah, so we could probably spend at least another full episode just going over these stats alone, but I kind of just wanted to go back to the overall scope for Sunday, and that's just kind of starting with the overall men's winner, and that was Team Marchbanks. So they took foam, but what determined the overall tournament win?
So round robin meant nothing other than just seeding. And so basically based off of how teams did during elimination, that's what decided it.
I see.
So for example, Team Marchbanks, who was the overall tournament winner for the men, they won the foam division, but in the 8.5 division, they finished third. And in the no sting division, they finished third. So they finished third, and then they finished first in the foam, and that was the big kicker.
Gotcha.
Because my team Fullerton, we ended up winning the 8.5 division. We ended up getting fourth in no sting, but then we just kind of sucked, SHIT the bed.
I appreciate that.
For foam. And the other top team was Boyle, Team Boyle. They finished fourth in 8.5, but they won no sting. And then they finished, I think they finished tied for, where did they finish? Tied for, I don't know. Tied for, was it fifth? Because we didn't finish out places, but they had an unlucky draw with Marchbanks, so they finished tied for fifth.
Gotcha.
In foam, so that was the difference.
Okay.
So yeah, the top team was Marchbanks, then Boyle, and then Fullerton.
Gotcha.
And someone who predicted that, who was that who predicted that? It was someone on Facebook. Oh, I think it was Tony Stumpo. Or no, it was Tony Sanchez.
That predicted the three
that
finishes?
Predicted the top three teams. He didn't say what order, but he's like the top three teams will be Fullerton, Marchbanks, and Boyle.
Oh, crazy. What does he win?
And he wins his name being on this podcast.
What a prize. That's cool. I forgot who I picked to win. I think I said Fullerton for 8.5 for sure. And then you're like, don't put that on me. He's like, well, I did. So
yeah, I didn't want to put that on me. There were some really good 8.5 teams. You had the team that we faced in the championship, which was Morse, which had Brandon Cook, Dylan Fedick, Xander Simos. That was a very solid team. But you had, some other teams. Giovinco looked like a very solid 8.5 team. Marchbanks was a very solid 8.5 team, and they got third. Boyle was a really solid 8.5 team. I think they got fourth. But they got fourth. But it really helped having the chemistry. I mean, me, Alan, and Tim have played Rise the last 2 years. Just nothing new there. Eric Jones has played Rise before. Maddox fitting perfectly. DeMonte fitting really well. But I mean, we were able to call plays. We were there was specifically in the championship game, it was a 3-on-2 with me and Alan, and I think Maddox on the right corner. And I sat there and I called, a rise play. And the next thing, as soon as Xander threw, we both threw at Xander and got him out. And, that was it. That was our championship win right there. So
nice.
The chemistry really helped, especially in a ball style that is, Rise's best ball style. So
this might be a little sensitive of me to ask, but did it feel kind of bittersweet to win a medal with them one last time, even though it wasn't like the full team? But did that have any sediment to you at all?
It was a nice send off.
Yeah, send off is kind of what I was looking for.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward next year to challenging them. I mean, I know their ball style is 8.5, I'm looking forward to challenging them. But it was cool. It was actually nice. I mean, I love playing with Tim. I think Tim is arguably the best captain in all of dodgeball. I mean, there's no denying it. I mean, you look at this tournament as a perfect example. You have 12 captains, and they draft these guys, some of them who they've never played with, and they have no idea what they're actually getting, for the most part. And you just kind of have to wing it. I think the reason why Team Fullerton, Team Marchbanks, Team Boyle were at the top is because those three captains, Vince, Tim, and Lucas, are just some of the best captains in all of dodgeball, period. They know how to create a team, they know how to organize a team, and they know how to lead a team. And some of the other guys, no offense to them, but they're not there yet, or they don't know how to yet, or sometimes you just don't know what you're getting in a player that you draft or that you're playing with. And so no offense to them, but again, I don't think they would argue either in saying that Tim Fullerton, Vince Marchbanks, and Lucas Boyle are three of the best captains in all of dodgeball. And it's just plain and simple, no brainer,
Well, they've all been proven to. I mean, Fullerton's been around since 2005, Marchbanks for a while as well. I think 2008 maybe.
Yeah, and he was the co-captain of Team USA. Lucas was the manager, the coach of Team USA. So yeah,
well, plus he was doing his own thing in Seattle for the longest time too. So I mean, it's enough to just be a regular captain of your 5 or 6 regular guys that you see all the time, but to be able to develop or hone the skill of taking brand new people you've never played with and work with that's like a whole new element of cross-classing maybe, or just new fields to open up in terms of experience. So yeah, no, that's a good point you made. These are very surely the 3 best captains out there, I feel. And kind of want to go back and just tease the comment that you made about giving Rise a hard time next year. I heard some rumors about your lineup, and I think you will be. So I just had to get that out.
Whose lineup? Heath's lineup?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah,
that'll be fun.
We're stocked and loaded. We're gonna put up a fight. We'll see.
As soon as that teams are announced, it's gonna cause. I don't know if it's gonna cause drama, but it's gonna be fun seeing how the scope is gonna change next year, from what I've been hearing.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting.
Got little birds everywhere. Let's go into women's. So overall,
and speaking of good captains, you think about Invasion. Invasion has won, 3 out of the last 5 national championships in Elite. And I don't know if you don't. Rolina is an amazing player, but I guess whether for whatever reasons you don't really think of her as like this amazing captain, amazing coach, but she is. She's a great leader. She knows how to organize. She knows how to lead a team. She leads by example, being a solid top player. And it's no surprise that her team is the top team in the women's division. They got 2nd in foam. They got 3rd in 8.5, but they got 1st in no sting. And they were just amazing,
That's awesome.
Played really great all day. And that was another team similar to Team Fullerton, where you had 3 players who played on Invasion, and that was her, Relina, Katie Sanchez, and who was the third? Maybe it was only two of them. Darn it.
I'm drawing a blank too. Sorry. I have no help. I didn't know she was the captain of Invasion. Is she?
She pretty much is.
Uh-oh.
I don't actually, I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure she is.
I'm backing out of that one until I can confirm, but
I might be. Yeah, whatever. I might be wrong. I'm probably wrong. I'm wrong a lot. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, it would
Sorry,
be the
ladies.
first time. Just kidding, man.
But you also had another amazing captain in Erica Schmidt on that team too. So you had a lot of leaders on that team. Emmy Zappa was a great player. You just had, top to bottom, that was a really solid team.
Yeah, it definitely looked like it in their lineup and what they brought to the court. And then
and you had
Team Kramer taking 8.5.
Team Kramer 8.5. I mean, Brenda is, amazing player. And then she picked up Tiffany Paget, who's been just phenomenal. A West All-Star snub. She should have been an All-Star. Just an amazing player. You had Tanya Kaiser, who probably could have been an All-Star for sure. That team was really solid. Let's see who else they had. Kirsten Bell.
I think
Bev Rivas, Avery Snow.
I think I have to go back and listen. I'm so bad at memory. I think I called
that was the team that we were both saying that was probably going to win it. They actually missed out on the overall tournament winner, I think by 3 total points. Let's see here. They got an 8.5. They got first. In No Sting, they got tied for 5th, so that wasn't that great.
So that's probably what hurt them, maybe.
And then in Foam, they got tied for 3rd.
Gotcha.
So yeah, probably if they had finished maybe couple more, they would have needed a couple more for No Sting. But I thought they would actually do better in No Sting. But they got matched up with Cowdonna. That was where it was. They lost to Cowdonna, Kiki's team.
They lost to Cowdonna. That sounds like an evil villain. That's kind of cool sounding.
Yeah, Kiki's team had a really solid No Sting team. So
yeah, I think that was like one of my favorites. Is like, even though we kind of had our little picks, I felt like it could have been any team's division at any time, and then just watching these battles that were taking place, I don't feel, again, from my limited perspective, I don't feel like there was any teams that were completely one-sided. I feel like it was a pretty even spread. There may have been a couple that were, maybe not doing the best that they could have done, but every match I saw was a battle, and I loved every minute of it. But let's move back to just overall, just so we can kind of start wrapping this up. Would you say this went well overall?
Yeah, I think it went well. I had a lot of issues come up literally right before. I had on Thursday night, Friday morning, really late, had one person miss their flight from Paris. So that
I could think of one person that might be.
Yeah, there's only one person that might be.
And
she ended up not playing, but some issues came up. There had to be an executive decision that I had made with the the captains voicing their displeasure and something. So I know that there was, I don't know. I mean, there's going to be, I don't know. Hold on. Can you hear me still?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, it was really tough getting all these players. Then Friday night at like midnight, I get a message from another girl saying she missed her bus. So she can't make it. It was just like such a nightmare having to deal with that stuff. I thought I had, even the week of, made it really tough. It made me want to sit there and be like, okay, next one, I want to charge less and get 7 people and have alternates, but nobody would want to do that. Like I wouldn't want to sit. That's why I didn't have an alternate. That's why I didn't take 7 on a team, because who wants to sit when you're playing a tournament?
Right.
I don't care if that's a 2-day or even a 3-day. I wouldn't want to sit. I wouldn't want to rotate really. For the most part. So that was tough. But overall, it ran really well. I would have liked a more stat-focused day on Sunday. If you look at the Google Doc, you'll see that the elimination numbers, I even write in there that the stats were incomplete. It really sucks because you sit there and you try to look at the totals for this tournament, and they're not accurate. Even the ones who looked accurate, like the Marchbanks, Vince was doing a great job of getting people to take his stats. And then you look at his overall numbers, specifically if you look at foam. I mean, they've played his foam team played three matches. Let me double check. His foam played 1, 2, 3 matches, and each match was at least probably 6 to 8 to 10 games. The final championship was scored 5-9, which had to be, so there had to be at least 30 kills / catches.
Right.
And overall in the 3 matches, his total's only 48. So, there's something wrong there. Whoever was taking stats wasn't paying attention, didn't do it well enough. And it just sucks. It sucks because you have all these stats, and the round robin looked like it was done well, looked like for the most part it was good. But then you run into Sunday and all of a sudden people, and rightfully so, people start caring about, I want to win. I don't care about stats. I want to focus on winning. And I get that, but we needed better stat keepers. We needed more people to step up to do that when they weren't out. And that's always been the problem with Elite. Why did Elite go to paying refs? Is because at the end of the day, at the end of the division of the elimination bracket, when a team was eliminated, instead of sticking around and reffing like they were supposed to, they would just go home or do what they wanted to. And so, they tried to remedy that this last year with paying refs. And if you were gone, if there was no one to ref a game, you weren't getting paid, so helped a little bit. So I don't know. It was just tough. That was definitely frustrating. But that's normal. It was hard. I mean, I tried to get refs. I tried, a month in advance, putting out little feelers, talking to people. And that's just a big issue that we've had and continue to have. I know there's some players who really, are demanding that we get paid refs. And it's just where are you going to find them?
Yeah,
are we going to find them on Craigslist?
You can just make them materialize out of thin air.
Yeah, the players are better than these refs. Why are we going to sit there and pay? We might find some people who just need some cash off Craigslist, and so we can get them to ref, but they're going to be awful, and then the players are going to be mad, even more mad, because
let me tell you,
because it's someone who doesn't even know the game is reffing this game, and it's oh my god.
Yeah, go back to the OG days. That's been done, and it's horrible. It is.
Oh god, it is. So, we just when you have good things, you need people to continue to step up. And if they don't, people are going to get burnt out. That's why, sorry to go off on a rant, but it's why Mark and Jake are burnt out, are close to, are still questioning, do I keep going forward with Elite? Do I keep going forward with USA Dodgeball, or do I just say I'm done because I'm burnt out, because they're burnt out? They do so much for us. And, we still need people to selflessly give. And it's tough. And, I saw that in my own tournament. I was really exhausted. Yesterday, I didn't want to think at all about dodgeball because I was just tired. I had some of the captains be like, where's the elimination stats? And I'm I'm going to do it when I'm at work on Tuesday or something.
Man, let me have a minute myself.
I was I don't want to do them today at all. But yeah, anyways, those are maybe some of the things just to think about that were tough. There's a lot of good things. I had a ton of people come up to me, telling me how great it was. It was awesome playing with new players, and then there was also players who thought they were coming and were all excited, and then kind of got into a role that they didn't get to play that much, especially someone who gets to play a lot, on their regular tournament team, and then they come to this and they're kind of regulated to the 4th or the 5th or the 6th position, just based off people who are on there. And that was really sad to hear.
Yeah, but that comes with the territory. I mean, you're being
It does
mixed
come with
with
the
5 other
territory,
people. You should.
That's the tough thing. I think the biggest thing was expectations. What kind of expectations did players have coming into this?
Yeah.
If you had no expectations, that's a good place.
It's the best way to be.
Or if you have realistic expectations, then that's a good place too. But if you sit there coming to expectations, like I'm going to play a lot and get to play with new people, but I'm going to show them how good I am and all this other stuff, that sucked, and
well, you're also not the only one thinking that either.
Yeah,
everyone's probably thinking that.
And it's tough too. I mean, you pay $100 to play and don't get to play that much, don't get to throw that much. Like, I would be upset, and like I wasn't in 8.5. I didn't throw that much at all because I knew, hey, I got throwers on here. It's not my best ball type. I had the right expectations, so I wasn't mad when I didn't get throws. But if that same thing had happened to me in no sting, where this is my game, I know I love this game, and I didn't get to throw, I got the 4th or the 5th ball only, like, I would have been pissed. I would have been unhappy. So I can see both sides to it. It's just, it's tough. We did have, for our 8.5 team, we weren't like the happiest of teams, but then again, come Sunday, we won, and winning cures everything. So it's like, it's kind of crazy, because like, if you talk to our team, especially guys who didn't get to throw that much, I got to throw a lot in no sting and foam. Didn't really care about 8.5, but Tim threw a lot because he should be. Alan got to throw a lot, and our other 3 guys didn't get to throw as much. And if you talk to them Sunday or Saturday night before Sunday, you would have had a completely different idea of the tournament, having talked to them after we won on Sunday, at least one of the tournaments or one of the divisions. And, it's just, it's interesting how winning cures everything. But sorry, that's me going on a couple different tangents there, but
no, man, that's what this is for. It's partially to recap and give you a chance to,
so there's,
to vent.
Yeah, like I said, there's some things that will change. I already have, I know, next year or in years in the future, I know that people like the idea of a draft. People will love an idea of a 3-on-3 draft. Not 3-on-3, 3 with 3. So 3, a co-ed draft. So 3 men, 3 women. People really like the idea of that. We'll see. It was tough. It was really tough getting, invite only all these players to come out. That was really tough to do. And when you have all the issues that I had leading up to it, and I had to replace so many different players, and and after replacing a player, had to make an executive decision to like screw over a player that, it's just like, man, like, it definitely hinders. Do I really want to do a draft invitation only, or do I just want to do bring your own team and just you deal with your own issues? Because that was the whole thing. When you're dealing with a tournament like this, the organizer is the one who is dealing with all the issues. Whereas at least in elite, it's the captain who has to deal with those issues in elite. The elite organizers don't really have to worry about that much. So there's other things they have to worry about, believe me, but they don't have to worry about players and having to replace players the night before and all this other stuff. It's like, oh my God.
Well, you're keeping everyone happy versus, 12 or 14 teams happy.
It's tough, and that's the whole thing. You still have to go back to the whole thing. It's like, not everyone's going to be happy. And that's, that sucks. And that's the kind of the crappy thing, is just dealing with, there's some people that liked it, but didn't love it. There's some people who loved it. And some of those people were playing that 5th or 6th position, right. And they loved it. Like, if you talk to Jim, Jim, I love Jim. He's he knows his role though, and he knows the expectations, and he sits there and he just loves it. He loves being a part of it. He doesn't care whether he's involved or not, because he knows he will be, in one way or another.
His moment's going to come.
There and you look at the championship in foam, and Jim was a huge, huge part of why Team Marchbanks won the foam division. Was because of Jim making some huge clutch plays. You had Dylan hitting people left and right, Vince hitting people left and right, Randy, who was Team Mexico, amazing, Kyle Sander, amazing, Frankie Giannetta Frankie was great too. And you had those 2 guys who just knew their role and were so okay with it. But then you go into other teams, other women teams, other men teams, and you're having some players who wanted bigger roles and didn't get it, and they were not happy about that. Or you just had people who were kind of not nice to them. I mean, it's so sad to know that we definitely have a clique in dodgeball in many different ways. And there's different cliques throughout it, but there's kind of a clique that has a big, larger voice than anyone else. And it's in LA. And, whether I'm a part of that or not, I don't really know. I'm probably on the edge of it, but it's sad because it's like, there's some really good, genuine people who are really good players, and they kind of get, not bullied, but just pushed aside or not cared about as much. And, that's how it goes, I guess.
Yeah. That'd be interesting to see like how next year shapes up, like I said, with some of the changes that are happening, and see if that click continues. Cause I definitely kind of understand what you're talking about. I've never really put words to it or thought about it more than this, but I think there is something there. And, I did want to go back to this expectation of not having a role. One of the things that I love about dodgeball is at any given time, it doesn't matter if you're the best thrower or the best catcher on your team, you will be called upon to be critical for your team, whether it's a game-saving catch, whether you hit a hot streak and you're just wiping the floor with people, but you're going to have your moment. Dodgeball is so chaotic and crazy. You can have the best plan, the best strategy, and the best roles, but something can just go the wrong way. And next thing you know, you're by yourself and everyone's cheering for you. Everyone's watching you. Like Jim, perfect example. He had so many clutch moments that were just for him, and he delivered. So people that are complaining that they're not getting enough play time, like, shut up. Like, I mean, it's really ballsy of me to say just straight up like that, but
it is ballsy.
but yeah, that kind of slipped. I'm gonna blame the pumpkin spice latte here that got feisty. But seriously, like you're playing it in a random draw tournament. Like, what do you expect? But I don't want to get into a rant myself. I'll save that for the OG chat. That's the OG me talking as well.
Nice.
But before I go downhill, I guess we just leave it at that. I definitely wanted to keep this somewhat, I don't want to say short, but we could talk dodgeball for a while, as I probably threatened when I first interviewed you. So eventually, man, I'm going to actually get to know you more as far as a dodgeball player goes. So far, it's just been all Tribune. But unless you got any other closing remarks, I think we can end there.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks for having me again, and looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so go ahead and end the interview there. Yeah, I was about to lay into some people.
I know.
I don't know where that came from. So that was a recap and the final part of the Dodgeball Tribune's Invitational draft tournament. And again, I'm only speaking from my perspective, but I feel like it was a really well-run event. It's great seeing it come full circle again from Tyler's first event to this one, and being able to kind of pull up notes from our previous conversation and see the changes that he talked about actually become implemented. It's one thing to talk about stuff, but another to deliver. And I don't think there's going to be any event, at least anytime soon, that's going to be so perfect and pristine that everyone's happy and everything goes well. Playing dodgeball for as long as I have in various capacities, there's always something that's not going to go the right way, and there's just no way of pleasing everyone, even though we try. And huge kudos to people like Tyler and Mark and Vince and Glenn and Jake and people that really do their best to bring on these amazing events and give us a reason to play dodgeball and then go home and record and talk about it. So I apologize if I offended anybody with my shut up remark. That is very uncharacteristic of me. I blame the LA atmosphere. Also, I don't hate people that live in LA. I just don't like the city. I am super spoiled by the vast, wide openness of Arizona, and I love being able to park wherever I want. In fact, I'm going to just go hang out in the parking lot a little bit after this and just enjoy the fact that I didn't have to pay to do so. Anyway, I'm obviously going off the rails. For everyone that participated, again, in the in-game interviews or in-tournament interviews, everyone that helped do stats, everybody that helped ref, Joe Coelho, thank you so much for helping run the event. It was great. It was really awesome for me to be able to just go there as a witness, as a spectator, and just absorb the greatness of dodgeball at its finest. And yeah, without going any further into any kind of weird rants, for those of you guys that have come up to me and said you liked the episode, thank you so much again. While this formally concludes season 2, I do want to say that I do owe, I guess myself maybe, or the listeners, the OG Part 3 West Coast panel that will be hopefully done and ready to go next week. And then, as I said in the previous episodes, there's a couple more episodes I do want to get out. I just don't know when, especially with Thanksgiving coming up and the holidays and whatnot. But I guess just stay tuned. It's really hard not to podcast about dodgeball. So I'll take a break, but at the same time, I won't take too much of a break. So that all being said, have a great rest of your Friday, a great evening, a great weekend, and we'll catch you next time. All right, so go ahead and end the interview there. Yeah, I was about to lay into some people.
I know.
I don't know where that came from.